Welcome back to Morning Express. Now, for the last leg of discussions of the program this morning, we're being joined virtually by a regular on the show, our guest, Comrade Segun Ayola. A very good morning to you, Comrade. Thank you so much for availing yourself for this discussion.
Thank you so much for having me. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, let's kick off with NELFUND. That is kicking hard as public institutions in Nigeria are now beginning to hike tuition fees and add some charges for personal profit. The details of this particular story are still a little bit sketchy, but from reports we hear that the universities are riding on the back of the student loan scheme that is being sent to the students in order to extort them using some unnecessary charges in public institutions. What are your reactions to this development?
Well, thank you for the opportunity again. Whatever government is doing for the student is a welcome idea. But if at the end of the day, higher institutions are beginning to scoop, are beginning to take from students what they have been given as loan, that amount to, insult. It amount to a kind of trying to destroy the plans of the government for the students. For me, I highly abhor such, such way by the institutions who are charging. That is to say, you are taking what the students have taken, especially most of the students take this loan due inability to pay school fee or take care of their education on their own, or by whoever their parents are, or whoever should take care of them. So it's a loan. And for institutions to now begin to take or increase their fees is totally wrong. Government should begin to warm up and begin to see how they can curtail it. Because, like I've always said, when government initiate policies or reforms, it is to stabilize. It is to be for the betterment of the common man on the streets, the students, and so on, the larger populace. Today, Nigeria have over 130 million people living below poverty level. And it's high time the government begin to take. You will not just initiate a reform, but you should also think of what to do to guide, to protect that reform. I know for sure that once government starts any policy, people will try to see what they can do to boycott, to destroy, and to ensure that it never works. Let me give you an example. I was discussing with somebody yesterday. He's a consultant. He's a web engineer. He's a computer engineer. He designs apps and for offices. So he was invited to an office to design, an app for the accounting department. They never called him back because that app was going to block every loophole. So there are people who don't want government, government plans and initiatives to work at all. And so those people should be brought to book. Those people should be brought to book.
All right, Comrade Ayola, some of the universities that have been flagged with allegations of a hike of up to 900% in fees is the university in Edo State, the one in Ondo, the Ebonyi State University, as well as Lautech. Now, fees for medicine and nursing as well as law have risen by about 20%. Meanwhile, a particular Kogi Polytechnic has raised its charges by over 1,000%. Is this a situation of giving with the right hand and taking with the left hand? The federal government has come up with a brilliant initiative in the place of NELFUND, but it appears that the varsities are now
Yes,
sapping that.
that's exactly what's happening.
That the varsities are now
That's
sapping
exactly
that from the
happening.
students.
Yes, that's exactly what is happening. Taking from the left hand and collecting from the right hand, or the reverse, as the case may be. The thing is, you can imagine, it is the same government at the state level that is trying to, to destroy this reform. All the universities, the tertiary institutions we mentioned here, are state-owned universities that are supposed to support what the president has initiated, whereas they are taken from the back doors from these students who, in one way or the other, could not afford, but went to take loan for their education. What is your reason of increasing the fees? What are they? What have you provided apart from what you already have on ground? Are you bringing new departments? Are you bringing new faculties? Are the charges not okay? What you have been collecting before? Is it that you are initiating? It takes me aback to begin to wonder, why institutions owned by the state, instead of, try to encourage the students to even give them additional loans, they are now the one that is taking the loans collected by the students through the back doors by this increment. I think even if they have to increase for whatever reason, it shouldn't be anything more than single digits, 1%, 2%, 3%, 9%, and that will be the highest. So I totally abhor any increment of fees by any institution of our land. When the president was speaking during the during the October 1st, one of the comments he made was the schools and hospitals should be taken care of. He also made mention of preparing the next generation that would take over. Is it by increasing the school fee that the state will have to do the same thing? I mean, it's high time our state levels begin to have a rethink in order to see how the youth can be encouraged educationally. As I speak, many youth are on the streets and they are doing yahoo yahoo. Now you went through the back doors and you are increasing the school fee. You are more or less discouraging, the students who are looking for admissions, candidates who are looking for admissions, and so on. They should please withdraw. They should please rethink. They should please go back to the former. Let them maintain the status quo for now. At least, and that alone will also, be a kind of encouragement on what the president has spoken during the October 1st about the youth. You remember, almost 30% or more of what the president was speaking was about the youth. About the youth. How can this youth be encouraged? Is it by this way? Let the state governors or whoever is in charge of these institutions begin to have a rethink and see what they can do. For me, if I become the president of this country or a state governor, I will give free education if I have the opportunity. State governors are supposed to give free education.
Well, Comrade Ayola, I believe that the free education system is in the basic education level, which is being practiced quite well all across the country. However, if you take a look at it from a certain perspective, Nigeria's educational system is one of the cheapest, in the world. And all thanks to different reforms and policies of government and successive governments that have come and gone. However, When you take a look at these hikes that have been happening much lately, what effect does it have on the psychology of young people who aspire to go to higher institutions of learning, graduate, and contribute their meaningful quota to the development of Nigeria?
If you ask me, I would say they will be discouraged. Any candidate who is, writing jump will be discouraged. Outright discouragement is highly unacceptable. You cannot go on to increase school fees of students. Students who have agreed to be in school, students who have agreed to read, students who have agreed to study, encourage them. A time will come with this kind of plans. A time will come, nobody will want to go to school again. May we not get to that level. But with what the government is doing, it will discourage many students, many children who are aspiring to go back to school. When you increase, it means they have to look for more money to meet up. When you increase, it means they have to do more. You can imagine what is happening on our streets today. A lot of youth, those in the Boko Haram, those in bandits, those in whatever, what did they do? Is because of poverty. Some of them have younger ones to take care of in the universities. And by the time they get the news of this increase, what do? They up everything. I can tell you, the prices of tomato, the prices of pepper, the prices of rice, the prices of staple food in the market will increase owing to this. So that is why we need to be decisive and criticize and call to order and nip it in the bud before it escalates. Before you know it, other states will start emulating. Because if it happens to one, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. So I think federal government should have plans to protecting its policies when once initiated.
All right, Comrade Ayola, we have just about 5 minutes to wrap up this discuss. Let's move on to yet another matter in the news this morning. The Nigerian Economic Summit Group, which has recently called out the federal government to provide 27 million jobs by 2030 or risk having an unemployment crisis. Let's address this issue holistically. Just a while ago, we're talking about an increase in university or tertiary institution fees, hike in so many other fees, and it has quite discouraged a lot of people from even venturing to go to the university. And then the ones that have graduated are jobless. And do you think that before 2030, this is an achievable feat? 27 million jobs in the country.
Well, 27 million jobs in the country is achievable. Government is not the only employer. Individuals, organizations can do the same if encouraged. You see, Nigerian government is the largest economy. Nigeria, with the crude oil exportation, with our refined product exportation, Nigeria has gotten to a level where we are now economically stable and viable. I'm of the opinion that even as government is doing employment in all nooks and crannies, government should also have a rethink on how to engage this youth through the Bank of Industries. When when you get a large number of youth, state by state, and you give them a kind of a training, it could be agriculture, it could be technology of any kind, it could be fabrication of any kind, and then you establish them, give them 10 years. Out of every 10 candidates, you will have one who will do well. So you can imagine you have 100, you are not going to have at least 10 people who will do well. If you do that, you are going to have a good number of people, a good number of youth who will be engaged meaningfully and leading to the economic growth and development of this country. These people will also, in effect, also engage other people to work for them. And these people, after working for them, there is this thing we call multiplier effect. So it goes on and on and on. The brother will bring in another person to be in that trade, and the other person will bring. So it has multiplier effect, whereby once you engage one person, you have affected so many other lives behind him. So it is not only about government. 32, 40 million, and so on is achievable.
That's fantastic, Comrade Ayola. But let's talk the reality on ground when it comes to working conditions, when it comes to remuneration, proper remuneration for some of these jobs. We can all attest to the mass drove of Nigerian medical, practitioners or personnel who are leaving the country. The Jackpot syndrome is there in the tech industry. People are exiting en masse. You name it. They are leaving the country decrying either poor or low payment and harsh working conditions. Aren't these issues that should also be addressed before, absorbing a staggering 27 million people into Nigeria's workforce?
Yes, that is right. Poor enumeration, poor salaries, and then the condition of work in Nigeria is terrible, especially it starts with government. We have three areas: the local government, the state, and the federal level. Even if you are a graduate and you are working in the local government, your salary is very low compared to federal level. So also in the state. And parastatals, agencies, and departments under the same ministry, their salaries are not harmonized. And again, you begin to look at how much can a fresh graduate take home. It is not so in this department. It is not the same in other departments. So these things are, they are deliberate attempt to discourage the Nigerian youth. Poor salary, somebody will go to work and work between, 8 o'clock in the morning and is closing maybe 7 o'clock in the evening. And he goes to work every day from Monday to Friday. And if it is a private organization, for example, they go to work by 7 o'clock in the morning, and then sometimes they close 10 o'clock. Some people now could no longer afford to go home, because if they calculate their transportation to and fro for a month, their salary cannot be able to pay. So they sleep around the offices. So if anybody sees this kind of a thing, the younger brothers of such a person who probably has raised money, who want to travel out to get a better job, the individual who is going through all of this problem, who want to look for money to ensure he travels out of the country due to the hard economic problem in Nigeria. That is poor salaries or no job at all.
That's interesting.
And so a lot of people will still move out of this country, owing to the fact that we have not been able to achieve our economic growth and development.
Comrade Ayola, quite a fine place to leave the discussion this morning. We must thank you so much. It's been quick, it's been fast-paced, and we appreciate you and wish you the very best of the rest of your day.
Thank you so very much. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, that has been Comrade Ayola, Segun Ayola, of course, who has been speaking to us on matters of national interest, from the education sector to concerns of unemployment raised at the Nigerian Economic Summit currently underway. This is the size of our package this morning on Morning Express. At the top of the hour, Samuel Adeleke will be in the studio for ADBN Sports. Do well to stick around. It promises to be punchy and sporty.